all are doing well. Let's start with a little task. Can you identify the symbols given in the image? Let's see how many of them you have guessed right. The given symbols are justice, loss, protection, rules, security, institution or office. All these elements are common features of government systems. So, in today's session, we will study on the topic of central governments. From class 10th, Social Studies. Learning outcomes. By the end of this session, you will learn about what is a government, the President of India, Vice President, Prime Minister, Parliament of India, Attorney General of India, Judiciary. Keywords: government, the people with the authority to govern a country or state. Constitution. A constitution is a set of fundamental rules determining how a country or state is run. President, the head of the government and the elected head of a republic. Prime Minister, the head of the executive branch of the government. He or she has the power to appoint and dismiss members of the Council of Ministers. Council of Ministers. The group of representatives at the national level who contribute to the country's development and make decisions on behalf of the people. Let's look at the concept map for this lesson. What is the central government? The central government of India in New Delhi holds the highest authority in our country. As discussed in Articles 52 to 78 of the Indian Constitution. The Union Executive acknowledges the vastness and diversity of our nation and provides a federal arrangement for governance. The central government is composed of the Union Executive, Legislature and judiciary. The Union Executive consists of the President, the Vice President, the Council of Ministers, led by the Prime Minister, and the Attorney General. The President of India. The President is the nominal executive authority in India. As the first citizen of India, the President is the Chief Executive of the Indian Union. The President is the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and the constitutional head of the Union Executive. Qualification for the election as President. The candidate for President must hold an Indian citizenship. The age of the presidential candidate must be at least 35 years. It is also required that the candidate should not be holding any government office of profit. Election of the President. The President is elected by an electoral college using proportional representation and a single transferable vote. Members of the Parliament are part of the Electoral College. The President is required to take an oath of office in front of the Chief Justice of India. After being elected. Powers of the President. Executive powers. The President appoints the Prime Minister, the Council of Ministers, governors of the states, judges, ambassadors, the Chief Election Commissioner, the Attorney General, and other important positions. Legislative powers. The President addresses the Parliament annually, like a speech from the throne. President can convene the Parliament twice a year for bill messages. Parliament bills need the President's approval to become laws, and money bills require pre-approval of the President. Before presentation in the Parliament. Financial power. The Finance Minister presents the annual budget to the Lok Sabha. That has been pre-approved by the President. The President has authority over the Contingency Fund of India. That grants endorsement for any funds. Every 5 years, the President establishes a finance commission. Judicial powers. The Article 72 of the Indian Constitution gives the President the authority to pardon or commute sentences and provide other forms of relief for convicted individuals. Military powers. The President holds the highest authority over the Union's defense force as per Article 53(2) of the Constitution. The law regulates the exercise of this authority. Article 53(2) of the Constitution specifies the supreme command of the defense force of the Union. Diplomatic powers. The Indian diplomats appointed by the President serve abroad, while foreign diplomats are received by the President in India. The ambassadors become official only after meeting the President and presenting credentials. The President is responsible for making all treaties and agreements with foreign countries. Emergency powers. The Constitution authorizes the President to declare a national emergency. Article 352. State emergency. Article 356. And financial emergency. Article 360. As per the fulfillment of the requirements of the law. Vice President. The Vice President holds the second highest position in the country, just below the President, as per the official order of precedence. Being modelled after the American Vice President, the position of Vice President guarantees the political stability of the nation. Qualification for the election as Vice President. The Vice President candidate must be a citizen of India. The Vice President candidate must be of at least 35 years of age. The Vice President candidate should not hold any government office of profit. Election and term of the Vice President. The Vice President is elected indirectly as stated in Article 66(1). The Vice President serves a 5-year term which can be terminated by resignation, death or removal. The vice presidents are eligible for re-election. Functions of the vice president. The vice president acts as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. And oversees and controls the House proceedings, determines the order of the House, and takes decisions on resolutions and questions. The Rajya Sabha deputy chairman can temporarily assume the chairman's duties. In the absence of the vice president. Prime Minister. The Indian President receives support from a Council of Ministers led by the Prime Minister of India, which follows the system based on the Westminster democracy system. The Prime Minister is chosen by the majority party leader in Lok Sabha and they select other ministers with the President's consent. If majority is not achieved by a single party, any party leader can form a ministry by gathering multi-party majority. And the ministers must join the parliament within 6 months. Duties and functions of the Prime Minister. Article 78 details the duties of the Prime Minister, which include assigning ministerial ranks and departments. The Prime Minister plans cabinet meetings and consults with colleagues. The Prime Minister oversees ministers and links the President with the Council of Ministers. Council of Ministers. The President of India appoints the Council of Ministers after the elections based on the Prime Minister's advice. The Constitution limits the number of ministers to 15% of the total Lok Sabha members. This appointment process of the council is constitutional. Parliament of India. The Indian Parliament has 3 parts. The President, the Rajya Sabha or upper house, and the Lok Sabha or lower house, which makes it a bicameral legislature. Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha or the Council of State has 250 members, among whom 238 members represent states and union territories and are elected indirectly. The President nominates the remaining 12 members based on their expertise in the fields of literature, science, sports, art and social service. Term of Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha members have a 6-year term and the house is permanent. Every 2 years, 1/3 of the members of Rajya Sabha retire and new members are elected. The Vice President of India serves as the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha. While the deputy chairperson is elected by the members. Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha is a lower house of the Indian Parliament with elected representatives. It has a maximum of 552 members but currently has 545 members. The term of Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha has a serving term of 5 years. But the Lok Sabha can be dissolved before the completion of its term by the President on the advice of the Prime Minister. The President can also dissolve the Lok Sabha if no party or alliance gets majority support in the election. The Prime Minister's advice is crucial in the early dissolution of the Lok Sabha. Functions of the Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha approves bills, including money bills, and participates in the impeachment proceeding of the President and Supreme Court judges similar to the Rajya Sabha. It also has equal power with the Rajya Sabha in passing bills for constitutional amendments. Powers and functions of the Parliament. The Indian Parliament makes laws, supervises the government, approves budgets, and discuss development plans, international relations, and internal policies. It can also impeach the President and remove the judges. The Chief Election Commissioner and the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Attorney General of India. In India, the Attorney General is appointed by the President and must have same qualifications as a Supreme Court judge. Only the President can dismiss the Attorney General. Who is the top legal officer? Duties and functions of the Attorney General of India. The Indian government consults the President appointed Attorney General for legal advice. The Attorney General can participate in all courts. The Attorney General can speak in the Parliament and committees, but cannot vote. The Attorney General has the same privileges as a member of Parliament. Judiciary. The judiciary system of India protects the rights and freedoms of Indian citizens. The Supreme Court upholds and safeguards the Constitution. The judiciary system is independent from the government. A unified judiciary system safeguards rights and interprets laws. Conclusion. Governments are the institutions that represent power and implement rules and regulations in a country. Division of power is applied to make sure that equal and fair use of power is exercised.